Welcome back to the Hats We Wear. Today I'm happy to have Verlaine Crawford with me. She's going to talk about the hats that she wears, the joys and struggles of those hats, and how she's overcome them. Thank you for joining me, Verlaine.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what hats are you wearing right now?
Well, right now I'm wearing publisher. I have my own company called High Castle Publishing. I'm an author. I've written 6 books, and I just did 2 books this year and just finished the second one, Endless Shades of the Mystical Rose. And the one before that was The Power of Wholeness. And it's played an important part in the way that I'm able to balance the different things that I'm doing in my life. The other hats include helping people with their marketing. And I also am a spiritual teacher that I've been able to work with people in terms of their past lives and for terms of being a medium. And it's been fascinating. I haven't been doing that much for a number of years because I had proper jobs. But the truth is that ability to tap into other dimensions has been very helpful in my life. And that having the guidance of the angels makes a huge difference, because they help you so much to protect you and also to lead you to opportunities, which has been the case for me. So I have a wonderful partner, so I do the cooking. That's one of my hats, and I've learned to cook because as a professional and an executive, I have to say I didn't do much cooking. In fact, you could look in my refrigerator in the past and it was empty, except for some yogurt and and I do gardening, and then I really try to stay physically fit. So in a way, those are all hats. I know for some people that's normal, but in the past I have worked 3 jobs at a time. And then I had my own consulting company, which meant I had a lot of different clients. And so that ability to balance and sort of be like a juggler, has been something that I think I learned quite well. Although at times you can become crazy and be overwhelmed with anxiety and exhausted and all of those things. I do have a goddaughter. Was not able to have children, but I asked God to bring some children into my life, and 3 little girls from a family I kind of semi-adopted in terms of creating Christmas for them, and because they didn't have the money to do things. So,
that's wonderful.
The oldest is now a physician. She's a pediatrician, and she has 3 little girls of her own now. So it's been incredible, an amazing life. There's been ups and downs and accidents and all kinds of things that, like normal, it seems to kind of put you on hold, and yet at the same time make you grow.
So let me ask you, I am a medium as well. So that right there piqued my interest. I'm wondering if the mediumship guided you to being a writer. Like, where did the writing come in? Was there any connection there? Like, you felt a need that you wanted to, I don't know, just reach people through your writing?
That's a fascinating thing to ask. Yes. As a little girl, my first name was Verlaine, and my mom called me Kathy for a long time, and I wanted to be Verlaine. And it turned out, my father's name was Vern and my mother's name was Elaine. But I looked it up in the dictionary, and I found out that Paul Verlaine was a poet. And I like to think my grandfather, who named me, knew that. So I said, well, then I have to be a poet. So I had to start writing poetry as a little girl. And the idea of sharing what you see, explaining it, talk about it, description, all of that was very important to me. And it's interesting, after I started channeling in 1987, I demonstrated what I had learned and had experienced with my mother. And my brother said, "Oh, I know that voice," because it's a different voice. And I know that voice. And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "When you tell me stories as a little boy, it would help me go to sleep. That was the voice."
Hmm.
So isn't that interesting that
Yeah.
you asked that question? Yeah. Um, I'm always fascinated with people and their motivations. And so reading and learning about that and so forth. But it wasn't until 87 that my ability to do that came through. But I had been listening to my intuition. My intuition would get very loud at times,
Hmm.
and that was the way I met my love of my life. We met 54 years ago,
Oh,
which,
wonderful.
yeah, and we had some time apart and then came back together as if nothing had happened. We were 15 years apart, and he was in Europe doing things, and I was asked to go and teach in Japan and Hong Kong and Australia and do all these things. So it seemed during that period of time that we were apart, he was building homes and doing all kinds of things that helped his growth, and I did all kinds of things to help mine. I don't think we would have done it if we were together. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We needed that different. There's a Khalil Gibran who has that beautiful book, The Prophet. He talks about two people in love, that they're two trees and they intertwine
Hmm.
and then they come apart and intertwine. And that's what I always thought about that period of time. So anyway, to meet him was totally intuition. I was told to go to the passport agency, and it was in Los Angeles, and I have a passport. I just got back from Europe, and they said no, go. And so the more I thought about it, I thought, well, maybe there's a job there, because I wasn't working at the time. I just got back, and I go to the passport agency, and I'm signing in because they needed summer help, and the lady said to me when I was leaving, I passed the test and everything, which was the easiest test in the world. And this, she said, "Oh, there's a young man that you're going to want to meet here. I think you'll get along well." And I said, "Okay." And so then when I went back and was signing in, I felt this heat on the back of my head as I was
Hmm.
signing in. I turned around, and there was John. It's just like,
Um,
whoa. And yeah, so that was the beginning of that relationship, and going, he was off by himself in a table in the cafeteria, and then I went to see him and talk to him, and he'd been to Europe, so that began our conversation, our travel. And once, I think, we were together about 10 years, and someone, now the people were getting married and then divorced very quickly. And someone asked John, "Why you guys are still together? What's going on? How does that work?" And he said, "Well, we started a conversation. We haven't finished it."
oh, I love that. How wonderful.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
so
what
we're
a
still
great,
in the we're
that's a
still in the
great way
conversation.
to, oh, go ahead. That's part of the thing with Zoom. That's a great way to learn to trust your intuition, because something was nudging you to go to about your passport. And like, well, I just came back. Obviously, I don't need to, but you did anyway. So you trusted it and you went. And that's part of
Yes,
what I
and but you
teach
know
my
what's
clients.
interesting? Yeah, it's what's interesting. When it's times like that, different experiences, it's very loud. Same with the channeling. It was like, go to this garage sale. I love it that I learned to channel by going to a garage sale, just because there was a young man there who had just learned. And I could go into that also if you want, but it's just been fascinating. Everything in my life that has been helpful, it was because of my intuition. And so I actually believe, and this is for the people, you've got so many hats, you've got so many things you're doing. And I was talking to a lady the other day, a client, and she said, "I'm spending more time thinking about what I'm going to have to do than I actually do it." And I said, "Yes, that's the point. That's the problem. You're so busy thinking, oh, I got to go to the grocery store. I've got to go do this. I've got to do that. I've got to clean up. And you're not doing it. You're thinking about it, and it's taking up a lot of time. And so the key thing is to get focused, you have to make a list. You have to make a list of your things you're doing, and then really look at it and see what's very important first. And usually that's in terms of time that we depend on too much. And so if you look at your list and you say, okay, I've got to fix lunch for this person that's coming over. Well, that's the first thing. That's, you do it, you just look at everything in terms of that timing and not worrying so much about what else you have to do at that moment in time.
Yeah.
It's very tricky because we are too dependent on the concept of time. And what I've seen is you can expand it, you can retract it. There's so much, it's much more flexible than we give it credit for.
Yeah. So what kind of books do you write? What kind of author are you?
I've
Genre.
been on self-help. And so the first book was Ending the Battle Within. And that came about, gosh. I had an experience when I was 27. I was working with an ad agency in Los Angeles. I was very excited because I was chief copywriter, working with the creative people and doing the writing and so forth. And this was like RCA, Pontiac, Airlines. They were, it was good clients. And I went down. It was about 5:30, and I went to the elevator to go down. This was a big building. There was 20 some stories in Los Angeles on Miracle Mile. I love that. What happened had such funny names because it was Life Assurance Building and on Miracle Mile. And so I go down under the building, small room, and 2 doors and 2 elevators. And I come out of the elevator and start walking towards the door. And I pass a man dressed in a guard uniform. And my intuition said, run. And I argued. Now, anybody that's listening or watching, please do not argue with whatever comes through that sounds really odd. Like, turn the wheel of the car. All right, turn it, run, do whatever it says. Then you've got to trust it. And people say, well, how do I know it's my intuition? The first thing that comes is your intuition. The argument after that is your mind. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Good way to put it.
Yeah. Everything that comes after that is the mind going.
Something that flies out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, it comes in and you're going, what? No,
Yeah.
don't spend time going, what? No questions. Obey. And oh God. And so before I could get my hand on the knob to open the door, he had his arm around my neck and a knife at my throat. And he started pushing me toward the other door. So you have 2 doors and 2 elevators. Okay. So he's pushing me like that and I'm he's like choking me with that arm. And so I'm kind of trying to hold it down, but you got the knife, so yeah. And then I said the all-time great thing. I said, I'm sorry, it's not funny, but I said, calm down, you're hurting me, like, yeah, maybe that's what's intention,
Yeah. Did it do anything though?
What?
Did it do anything? Did he respond to it?
No, it didn't do
Okay.
anything. He kind of started pushing me toward the other door, kept pushing me. And then the other elevator went ding, the other one, and the door opened. We're standing right in front of it. And he transferred the knife to my back. The 2 men started coming out of the elevator and he stabbed me in the back. And it was interesting, I didn't feel the point of the knife or anything. I just felt a thump. But as I was getting into the elevator, I felt a pop and my lung collapsed. And so the pain was awful. And so I thought I was dying. And it was really interesting because this phrase came to mind, and it was, God, if I don't die, if I live, make me an instrument of your peace. And I didn't know where that came from, but it evidently is, what's his name? St. Francis said that. And anyway, so that's what happened there. And then they take me upstairs, and everybody, the police came, and this lovely man was just holding me. I was just sitting on the edge of a table, and he's holding me because I didn't want to lay down, right? And then the ambulance came, and I went to the hospital. And then in the hospital, it was trying to get the IV in, so I felt like I was getting more stabbed. And then the doctor comes and stabs me in the chest to put a tube in, so the lung,
Yeah.
listen, it was not fun, I can tell you. And it really really scared me, the whole thing. And then people telling me, oh, they had all kidnap ring and blah blah blah, all kinds of stuff. And another point to anybody that's listening or watching, please, if someone's hurt, don't give them examples that are worse of that could have happened to them, because they don't need that piled on their head at that time.
Yeah.
Just be there for them. And then there was one man a few days later who came to visit. He was the son of the owner of the ad agency. I didn't know him really well at all, and I couldn't see him because I'm laying down, but he said, you're going to have to forgive him. And I'm going, it was so out of the blue that I'm going, wow.
Yeah.
But it stuck. It stayed with me. It stayed with me for years, until I finally did, forgive that person. And that was at a Shirley MacLaine workshop that she had out in Yucca Valley, which was just amazing that I got to be at. And she did a meditation, and she said, see the person that hurt you, see what the energy behind them, and see it further back and further back. And then I realized behind him is God, because we're all part of God.
Yeah.
So that was, quite something. Anyway, I was moving ahead to tell you that I was looking for help. And I went back to work finally after a few weeks, and looking for this man with the police to see if I could get him off the street. And anyway, about a few months later, 8 months, it was August when it happened, and it was March when the police came in and said, everybody out of the building. And I said, what's going on? They said, bomb threat, 15th floor. And that was our floor. So at that point, it was piling up. I was no longer parking under the garage. I was afraid all the time. And so I moved back to Carmel, where I had gone to high school, and, I felt safe. And I went to a psychiatrist to help me. And then I went to a workshop, and it was a neurolinguistics programming workshop. I was chosen to be one of the volunteer for a small part of the 3-day workshop, which was an integration technique. And it was so revolutionary for me to take these different parts of myself and the opposing beliefs, and bring them together. And so that was what was in my first book, that story and the experience, and how it changed my life. And the Power of Wholeness, which is this book. Look, see, I'm knowing now, there it is.
Yep.
The Power of Wholeness is discover a more fulfilling, successful, and rewarding life. I really got into it. I thought I was just going to rewrite and make a digital copy of Ending the Battle Within. But the Power of Wholeness, I really get into the process continuously. It's very easy. I mean, when I went to Japan, I could do it with people in an hour. I mean, they tell me what their problem is, we work with it. And the whole point is, I like to start workshops with the idea that we think of ourselves, captain of our ship, master of our fate, right? And I see it as a pirate ship, and the crew is planning mutiny. Okay, so inside you have all these different subpersonalities, different parts of you, and they hold different beliefs. And beliefs that we've collected over the years, you have a part of you say, oh, it'll be wonderful to be rich. Oh, God, yes, I could do so many different things. I could help other people, blah, blah, blah. And the other part says, oh, rich people aren't nice people. and if you got rich, you'd lose all your friends, and you can't get into heaven if you're rich. We have all these beliefs, and they're opposing each other.
Yes.
And so what you do is you ask the part of you that has a certain belief, because I believe that almost every subpersonality, is their job is to hold on to that belief and keep proving it over and over again. You only meet rich people who are not nice, okay? Because that's there. My mom used to say, she had a saying, all the good men are married and buried, right? Oh, good. As a teenager and a young adult, I'm supposed to think about the fact that all the good men don't exist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you walk into a
right
party,
there.
do you see the men that are available? Hell no, because they don't exist for you.
Yeah.
So that's the key, how strong it is. Those parts block you. And they say, and so the idea though, is to find out what they're doing for you. What are they doing for you to stop you? And they have a list of the things that they're doing for you. And the other part has a list, and then you bring them together and send them to the creative part of you to come up with ways in which you can have the power of both. And that's the power of wholeness. And so that changed all my PTSD, my being afraid all the time. It let me travel again by myself. It was a great gift, and I've used it in my helping people a lot.
That's powerful, because that's quite a traumatic experience, and your body is going to hold on to that trauma until you realize and figure out what to do with it. Because that's
Yeah.
traumatic. Having a knife held to
Yeah.
your throat and then being stabbed in the back. That term, don't stab me in the back. I mean, I can imagine what came just from the energy associated with that term.
Exactly.
I can just
Exactly.
imagine what havoc that wreaked in your life until you got a hold of it.
Yeah, until you let go and then forgive them. Not doesn't mean that you approve of someone because they've hurt you. Or someone hurt someone else that you love. It just means you let them go. You get
Yeah.
them out of your auric field. You get them out of your energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important. I gotta tell you, I feel like at my age, which I'm very old, but I think I still look extremely young, and I feel extremely young. Why? Because I don't have all that stuff I'm carrying with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the phrase, the idea that why can angels fly? Because they take things lightly.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. They
Are there
don't.
particular angels that you like to work with? Are there
I
particular energies that you prefer to work with?
Yes, I have one particular guide. I call this guide Exaka. And that came from the very beginning when I started of using a Ouija board. And it was spelling out IOAXACA. And I didn't know what that was. And so I just kind of abbreviated it to IXACA. Well, what was being written, which I found out later with people, so many confirmations came in. Because here I was just before all this happened, I was vice president of a high-tech company in Silicon Valley. I'm traveling around the world doing marketing and being at the forefront of, startup companies. And so to do this was like, I don't, it's nice. And I had seen channelers like Jay-Z Knight channeling Ramtha, and I had seen some of this. And John was doing automatic writing for over 10 years before this. So and I'm very spiritually oriented, but it was like me doing it. Okay, but anyway, Eye of Oaxaca was because in one lifetime he was channeling through Quetzalcoatl in the Mayan culture, and in Oaxaca, Mexico, there was a library. And then before that, he was also in Imhotep of Egypt. So all of this, into describing of it, yes, that is my guide, my primary guide. I have I have let a few others come through that have been very interesting. And then what opened up was the mediumship, where you see the person on the other side and they're talking about whatever. I did find that the people who have recently died or have been physically human, because exactly as angelic, that energy is just very light and very warm and loving. People, humans who are on the other side, not so smooth usually.
Yeah.
And so I don't bring them in and have them speak through me. I listen and then say what they have to say.
Okay. Yeah. I've never experienced channeling. Just the mediumship. So that would be really interesting to have, like, literally someone speaking through me in that way.
I'd love it. Yeah, can I take a minute to explain how that worked for
I
me?
would love it. Sure.
Okay. This is different from your usual subjects, I think.
No, you know
But
what?
it
And
is,
that's the thing with this podcast. It's whatever hat the person wants to talk about. And I've been finding it's really interesting, Verlaine, that the people that I'm attracting are 9.5 times out of 10 aligned spiritually in some way. There's
that's
some
amazing.
an energetic component to their life that I've been connecting with, complete strangers. So no, I love it.
I do too. And this is really interesting for me because this is basically the first time I'm really talking about it in public.
Okay.
Because I was satisfied with going to Japan. That was in 1993 through 95. I went about 10 times. They kept having me go back. And then they invited me to go to Australia, both Sydney and Melbourne, and then to Hong Kong. And then I went with Power Places Tours to Bali and into Italy. So it was like all over there, so I could have a regular job
Yeah.
and not lose my credibility. But
Yeah.
more and more, it's become more accepted, I think, and or at least I'm seeing more acceptance in
Yes, more
my.
people are stepping into their power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so we started out with a Ouija board with the idea because his channel said that I could channel also. And I was very picky. I said, well, first of all, it has to be a very high being. No
Yeah.
pickpockets. Remember so one of the people was channeling a pickpocket, and I said, not no,
No, yeah,
no.
yeah. You don't want that
And
energy staying with you.
yeah. And so what they suggested, they being this lady who had the garage sale, Kate, and her boyfriend suggested that I pretend that my body was a car and that I was going to move over from the driver's seat into the passenger seat.
Okay.
And then I was going to allow energy to come in. So when I closed my eyes, I saw what looked to me like a 7-foot tall light being, just incredible light and being. And so then the energy started to come in through the left side of my head and then through into the face and the neck, into the head, and then down the neck, and then down into my shoulders and chest, and then into my arms. In the beginning, it didn't go any further than that. And then it would stretch, stretch out and feel like, especially my fingers. It's like, I realize now as I'm doing this that they're pretty tight. So, and then I saw in my mind's eye that it's sitting there in the car with me, and then it's going to speak, and it spoke with a little bit of different voice. It had different breathing, much deeper breath that I tried to emulate, and not quite. I can't quite do it as myself. And then this different voice, and I started to speak. And then my body's going like this. And they said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I realized I had put my hand on the driver's wheel, on the steering wheel, and I was making the car go all over, right? And Oh, I know when he first came, she is not not either, right? Came in, I said, one false move and you're out of here.
There you go. Good for you. Boundaries. Boundaries
Oh,
are
God.
important.
Oh, dear. So then I had grabbed the wheel and they said, get in the back seat, get in the back seat, right? So I'm climbing into the back seat in my mind.
Mhm.
Everybody is listening, realize I'm not as nutty as this sounds. Close, but I'm in the back seat, and all of a sudden I just go around the seat and grab the steering wheel. And so they said, enough, right? Because I'm almost falling off the couch and everything. And so the energy just moved away. So the next day they said, why not pretend that you have your own steering wheel, right? And you can take it at any time. So I guess that's like a driver training
Yeah,
car.
you're in control. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, or a small airplane or something. So
Mhm.
so I'm there and I'm like this, and this energy comes in, and there was so much love, so much
Mm.
feeling of warmth and love that I relaxed, and then I was able to speak. And so that's how I let the energy in. And then I stayed close, and it was slow. Gosh, it was slow. And I just stayed there. And then finally, I left my body. I pretended like that I was a yard out in front of this big house. And I'm sitting there and at a table, with an umbrella, listening. And so then eventually I got to the point where I just said, okay, you're in charge. This is over weeks that's take
Yeah.
place. And I just went back in the house and got in bed and went to sleep. And then one day I closed my eyes and the starting to come in, and I see this girl in front of me, a woman, and she had long dark hair, and she said, would you like to go traveling? And I said, oh, okay. Because I had gotten enough confidence that what Exaka was saying and how she was answering the questions was good. And I had listened to some tapes and I said, well, it's good stuff, and it's good information. And so then she said, you want to go traveling? And she took me to Bali. And we went to Bali, and it was beautiful. And it was up on a hillside, and there was a whole complex there, and and houses that had grass roofs. They were like big, but they didn't have really walls. And so then we went to walking down this pathway, and on this wall, the handles along the wall was like formed like a snake. And then to the right were little caves. We're going down into this little canyon, and then down below was this pond, and I got in the pond, and it was like there were angelic beings there, and I was like at a spa, it was just
Yeah.
beautiful. So then when I came back to body, we're connected, by the way, to people that don't know, we are always connected with a silver cord. That there's until that's cut, until you let go and go into other dimensions, you're
You're
connected
always
to the
tethered to your body.
tethered to your body, and you can travel anywhere. And it was fascinating. So I came back. Well, about a year later, Power Places tours I learned about, and I became friends with the lady that was organizing it. And I got to go to Bali. And when I went to Bali, I met the lady that had come to visit me.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Joni
cool.
Clark was her name, and she was that same bubbly person, which she still is today. And she was friends with Linda Garland, who had a complex up in Ubud, and I went there with her. It was exactly the same. There was the places, there was the steps going down, and the water down below.
Now she had to have recognized you, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
It
Wow.
is, because what I needed, the confirmations, as a very doubting, curious but doubting person.
Yeah.
And so over and over and over, I got confirmations of what I was seeing and what I was experiencing. And so my mom would say, because I had groups, then people came to hear the channeling and everything. And my mom said, "Do you really believe all that stuff you're talking about?" And I said, "Mom, it's not a belief, it's an experience."
Yeah.
And the experience is like you can believe that you went to the grocery store, but if you go to the grocery store and you come back with the groceries, it's a pretty good chance you went to the grocery store, you know. So
Were you even aware of what was being said when it was being said?
I could be present and do that, yes.
Okay.
And in the beginning, I was there, but I didn't need to leave to let it be faster, probably, but
Okay.
it just seemed easier at the time. But at different times, I'd stay present, and oh God, I'd get in the way. There was one example that was so unique. Exaka would go around the room and have people ask questions. And what was fascinating was when we closed the eyes, when Exaka came in and then opened my eyes, I wanted to be able to open my eyes.
Yeah.
A lot of channelers keep their eyes closed, which is easier because you're staying in that space.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to do it because I wanted people to be able to look in my eyes, friends look in my eyes and say, "Are you there?" Be able to see it. Again, I'm always questioning. And but anyway, as we went around the room looking, he would see patterns, and now I can do it also, where you see patterns around people and lifetimes or ideas or whatever floating in our
Okay.
auras. And so this one lady, when it was time to ask a question, she said, "I have something wrong with my eyes, and I just wondering, how that's connected to the past or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
So Exaka was that imagery of her past life coming in, I'm also seeing it. And she is in the image, she is standing in a firing squad. And she didn't want a blindfold.
Mm-hmm.
And she's looking straight ahead, and someone shot her in the eyes. And I said, "You can't," I'm in the background to Exaka, and I'm saying, "You can't say that. You can't say that." And he said, "Just a minute, just a minute." Just what he usually does with me. "Just a minute." And he told her what he saw, and she says, "Oh my God, that's what's wrong with my eyes. I have holes in them." She actually had holes in this lifetime in her eyes.
Crazy. Wow.
Yeah, and
Now,
so
I got a question. I have so many questions. When you go under, is it always Exaka that is going to channel? Do you ever have to worry about other energies trying to channel through you, or do you have enough control now where you know that it's him or him, he, she,
the angel, yeah.
the angel?
First of all, there's no one in body or out of body that's stronger than you are. That is what I was told, and that is what is true for everyone. We unfortunately don't believe that usually, and so we let other people take control of our lives. So yes, first of all, it always is Exaka, and Exaka can make certain that no unpleasant entities try to enter my body. Okay.
Got it.
And then I'm aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
One exception that was very interesting is I was a friend of mine was acting as a surrogate for a friend of hers who was in Brunei. And she was there at the palace in Brunei, which, if anybody wants to know a really unusual sort of experience of knowing a place, Brunei is one. I mean, there's his palace, I don't know how many rooms, but it's like 500 rooms, 1,000 rooms, I don't know, it's huge. And her friend had written to her and said that she was very unhappy being there and so forth. Okay. I think she was being treated like a concubine. She was just treated as, that was what I think was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was going to be the surrogate. So I went into trance and into space. I left my body, and I'm traveling to Brunei. it's interesting. You don't need to know where Brunei is on the map or anything. You just say, I'll
Yeah.
go to Brunei, and there
Yeah.
you are. And there I was in the palace, and I'm going through. They had almost every. It'd be nice to have confirmation of this, but what I saw was almost every group of rooms has a patio in the middle of it.
Okay.
It's like a constant lots of patio. So I'm there in one patio. I haven't found the girl yet, and I see these priests that are there, and they see me as a ghost being,
Okay.
right, in their view. And so I think I'll go back to my body, and they followed me back, and
Oh.
they came in to the body, and oh my gosh, it was so uncomfortable. And I was supposed to do a channeling. I did her reading before the channeling for the group, and I had to go to the bathroom and throw up. It was, yeah, to get rid of, and with help they got out. But it was interesting. Like a week later, I was getting a massage back on the mountain. I was living in Idlewild up in the mountain, and I had this retreat center, and they came to visit while I was getting a massage, the priests, and they said, we work with the earth, with the energy of the earth. You kept talking about light energy. What is this light energy? It was fascinating. They didn't know. And so I was trying to explain to them. They're sort of like magicians, I guess, because they're working with what we call dark energy. It isn't dark energy, it's just earth energy. It's powerful, but it's like what magicians of the past would have used.
Okay.
So yes, that was an exception. Yeah, I don't bring in energy that is it's going to be upsetting to my body.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating, especially as someone who is as spiritual as I am, and this is my path now. So I could speak to you all day,
I
easily.
understand. I just feel so grateful that it turned out this way, and how easy it is for me to explain. And I'm very grateful. At another time, if you wanted, I could bring in Exaka, and you
Oh, I would
could
love
meet.
that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Absolutely love that. That would be like, that would be a gift. I would love it.
Yeah, it's for those of you out there that think, oh gosh, this is, if you happen to be Christian or some other religion that you're that doesn't seem to think this is real or a good idea. Just know that it's always positive, is always full of light. And yes, there are entities that are not. And I agree with that. And there's a lot of humans on the other side who had difficult times, and they're still acting out, on the astral
They're
realm.
still learning their lesson, trying to learn the lessons that they were meant to learn.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just so sorry that what's happening on the planet now is, as Exaka explains, is the energy of the planet itself is increasing. Its vibrational frequency is increasing, and what it's doing is bringing up all the past anger, upset, pain, sadness that has been part of the planetary experience. And so that's what you're seeing in terms of this chaotic behavior of things going off the chart, basically. And so the most important thing you can do is to raise your own thought processes, do your affirmations, say positive things, really watch your words. Don't say things you don't want to be true. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't say, God, I feel miserable today. Oh, I'm so
Yes.
tired.
And
Just
energy you're
say,
putting out. Yes, yes, yes.
you're creating it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing to understand. And remember, 100% of the time, 24/7, you have guides that are with you, angels,
Yeah. Thank
guardian
God for
angels,
them. Yeah.
100% of the time.
Your spirit
And
tribe. I call them my spirit tribe.
yeah, they're there, and they say, I did exactly said, well, almost the time we just this is an example, an exaggeration perhaps, but is we're standing next to you, and we're twiddling our thumbs, waiting for you to ask for something, waiting for you to ask for some help, or a project, or a new house, whatever you're asking for.
Mhm.
Okay. And we wait and we wait. And then finally you say, God, I'd really like to move out of this house and into a bigger house. You know, I would really like that. And he said, oh, wow, they get all excited when they start making connections. They start making sure that you see a little sign when you go to the grocery store. You know,
Yep.
they get everything all set up. And so it's ready to go. And then you say, oh, but that can't happen.
Mm,
And they
mm,
say, stop everything.
yeah. Yep. It's funny because when I journal, journaling is a huge part of my connection to spirit. And I always end with to my spirit guides, please continue to help me and show me the way and make sure I see signs. If I don't see the signs, hit me upside the head so that I see the signs. So yeah. 'Cause I always say that, oh my God, I must have been so frustrating to them because it's taken me a long time in
All of us.
human
Yeah.
years to get where I am now. And they're probably like, yay, finally, they're like doing cheers over there. Finally, she's here.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that you don't take care of business. You take care of business much
Yeah.
better.
Yes,
I
because
can
you're
tell you
following
every
guidance. That is true guidance. It's not your human brain
no, I call it
mind.
the universal AI.
Oh, I love
And
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not artificial. It's not artificial. It's the
It's
real thing.
source.
It's universal intelligence. And
Yeah.
you tap into it, you can ask any question and they will answer. And it's,
Yeah.
you know, it's just fabulous to be connected.
It
And I
is.
want everybody to be connected
I
so much.
know, I know. It's such a great feeling. And this is so I love speaking to you so much. And I'm doing I just did a workshop on it was called the Intuition 101. And November 4th, I'm doing one on Energy 101. So beginner level for how important your energy is and your mindset. And so I'm going to bring in some pieces of this conversation as well, just to reinforce how important it is to get rid
You
of the
would,
stuff that's holding you down. Just get it out, you know?
yeah, you've got to look at, you might enjoy looking at the Power of Wholeness because
I definitely will.
yeah, because it really talks about all of that. There's a lot about intuition. There's a lot about the energy. I wanted to put as much as I could in,
Mm.
and there's wow. You are encouraging me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Book number 2, Verlaine. Let's go. The Power of
Yeah,
Wholeness Part 2.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, which will be talking about the channeling
Yeah.
and getting that book together. And John, my partner, is amazing. He's got this incredible art. He does these drawings that are spiritual, that are off the chart. And he has thousands of them, like 2,000. I think he did at least 2,000 since pandemic.
Oh my gosh.
And they
Does he
have a
sell them?
state.
Does he have like a place where he
I
sells?
haven't put up the site yet. I've got to put up a website.
Yeah, you know
And
what? Do it because there is such a need and there's so many. We were talking about how the vibration of is lifting, is increasing because there are so many more people that are walking into who they are
yes,
and becoming aware of energy and becoming aware of source. And um there's going to be a huge market for people that are wanting to look at a visual of what they know in their heart.
mhm.
So I
But
encourage him to do what he
yeah,
needs to
he's
do to
ready.
get
He
that
said
out.
he's ready to get him out. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. He's done like the hand of God, and the planets are being created, and it's all done in beautiful colors. And I mean, it's just so much that is so inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And for
yeah,
the listener, it has nothing to do with religion. Nothing to do with religion. God was hijacked by religion. This is spirituality. This is connection to the universe, connection to source, connection to where we all come from. So if you're not religious, that's okay. If you are religious, that's okay. But no, this is energy. Energy is science. It's science. We are made of energy. We have energy. So, because I know there's a huge this is all woo-woo versus science versus religion, and it's all one.
It is all one. I've been reading a fascinating book. I'll get the name for you, about simultaneous realities, and that, you know, everyone's talking about the fact that it's all our lives, past and future, and other lives that are lives that you are created when you make a decision. Okay, and you have two roads to go. Well, according to the information we're receiving, both roads go forward. So you are over here, but the road that was over here that would have led you to becoming famous or whatever the outcome would be,
Yeah.
or to be married, or whatever that
Yeah.
was that you didn't do, that's still going. And
Yes.
so what he's making if it's all simultaneous, which a way to imagine that is a projector that is sending out light from source, the source energy of the universe, and sending out light beams. Okay. And that is your projection of all these different streams of life that are simultaneous happening for you. So he says you don't have to create a different life. It's already there.
Just got to tap into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that it has been, it's interesting when we read books or we listen to people, each one has a way of saying things that somehow finally click that recognition,
Yeah.
and I see that so clearly because of the way I've had so many careers and backgrounds and things. If you talk about hats, I mean, it's absurd how much, because I was a marketing person, have a variety of life, be a marketing person because you can market anything. And I've got the Lodge at Pebble Beach, the Queen Mary Project, the Capitol Records, da 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 da, because you're there with the idea of helping them bring it out to the world. If you're a communicator, as I am, a communicator as being your basic self, then that's an excellent way to go forward if you're a young person and want to work in the world. It's dynamic, and there's so much you can do. I even learned to paint. At 76, I went to Costco and they had a what do you call it, tripod with the little set that you can get. I said, I'm finally going to paint a painting, and then John saw it and he said, and he's an artist, and he said, you're good, I'm going to get you big easel and the paint and canvas. And then he was there as a mentor, and so I've got these beautiful paintings. It's just, it's wild what we can do, but we don't know it because we don't try it.
Yeah. And we don't ask for help from our spirit tribe who can help us tap into
that creative ability.
Yeah.
Yes. And please, anybody out there, do something creative. I don't care what it is. If it's art, pottery, and you don't have to be able to draw a straight line in order to do art. You use the beautiful colors.
You could be a writer. You could be creative in any way, decorating, fashion. I mean, there's so many different ways to be creative.
Singing, dancing.
Problem solving can be creative. Let's make a creative process for this problem solving. So so many different levels.
Yes.
So this is wonderful. I can't even tell you how excited I am to talk to you. Everything happens as it's supposed to, and we were meant to meet clearly for a reason. So I so enjoyed the conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I feel really like I've met another soul sister.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Do you want to, I know I have the books, and where can people find these self-help books? Let's promote what you're doing.
They're on Amazon.
On Amazon?
And I have everything, all my books written up on my website is called creativelifeadventures.com.
Okay, perfect. I'll put the link in there.
Yeah, you put that there. And then also, I forgot to mention that John wrote a book. So 400-page fantasy, spiritual, inspirational novel that is so much fun. It gives you a beautiful context for life and for going beyond this life. And it was compared to Alice in Wonderland and the Pilgrim's Progress. that he's a genius storyteller, and he won 12 book awards.
Really? Oh, that's
12.
awesome. I'm gonna have to check that
Yep.
out as
I
well.
edited it and published it.
Oh,
Oh,
wonderful.
it's just fabulous. I mean, I love every minute of it. And
Does he have
there's,
the same
you go
last
to,
name? Is that John Crawford?
Terezi. No, Terezi, Teresi.
Okay.
And if you go to the book section of, yeah, if you go to the book section of Creative Life Adventures, and then
Okay.
he also wrote Alchemy of the Seven Harmonies, which is taking the seven harmonies that are in the portals in time. It's a quest for an old age. There you go, looking for time travel to
Nice.
go look for an old age and how to stay young, and because people are dying younger, and it's yeah,
But
worth a trip.
everything's in that one website. They can find everything about you in creativelifeadventures.com.
Correct.
Okay,
And
perfect.
lots of blogging posts and interesting spiritual stuff.
Great. Oh, okay. This is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to the listeners, thanks for joining us. I'll catch you next time on The Hats We Wear.